So about me, my name is Gianluca Mauro, originally from Italy, now living in Copenhagen. I've been building and teaching artificial intelligence for roughly 10 years. I'm a founder of a company called AI Academy, a company specialized in teaching AI to businesses and people without a technical background. So we basically don't focus on all the math behind AI. We focus on the business applications. That's, I think, the easiest way to describe it. I'm the author of an investigation on The Guardian on gender bias, which is something I truly care about. Ethical AI in general is one of the things that I research. I'm from Rome, again, living in Copenhagen. Actually, this is an old slide. I'm not in New York City anymore. I spent some time in New York City the last time that I did a webinar, and I copy-pasted that. And at the bottom, you can see some of the logos of organizations I worked with. All right, so this is going to be a fairly short webinar. I just want to put as much knowledge as I can packed in a fairly short time. So we're going to try to keep it as under half an hour. At the end, I'm going to talk about some of the trainings that we do, some of our programs that we sell. So this is not going to be a sales webinar. You know, there's a lot of webinars that people just try to sell you stuff, but we're going to have a message at the end. I just want to say it for transparency, but it's going to be a content-packed webinar. For this reason, since it's very short and I usually do those things rarely, we're trying to do this more often. I highly encourage you to focus, try not to scroll on Instagram. This is something that I usually do for corporations for money. So if it's something I do for free, I know people tend to sometimes just think, oh, no, it's free, then I'm not going to pay that much attention. But I highly encourage you to try to keep half an hour of focus. All right, so let's start with this. We're going to talk about AI companies. How do you build an AI-powered organization? And this is a sentence that I want to start with. Andrew Yang, who's one of the godfathers of modern AI, was used to say that AI is data plus software. I think this is a very reductive way of what AI is. I think this is definitely not enough. If all your companies or you as a professional are obsessing over is data and software, you're not going to be successful. This is half, even less than half of the equation. So what else is in there? So data and software are the technical things you need to pay attention to. But then there's user experience. AI needs to be easy to use for people, right? If it's hard to use, people are not going to get any value. Business value, AI needs to be useful and bring some results to your business. AI for AI's sake, leave it to researchers. Business strategy, how do you actually build this value? It's not enough to build an algorithm. You need to put it in practice. Upskilling, people in your organization or yourself need to know how to use this technology. Having AI, if people are not using it, doesn't bring you any results. Cultural change, we're going to talk about this in a little bit. People need to change the way that they think about technology. And societal impact. And this is where all the AI ethics comes into play. All right? So all of these things that I shared, all the blue stuff, all these things are not technical problems if you think about it. These are actually all people problems, human problems. That's why I put a heart there on the right. So think about this. More than half of the things that we need to care about if we want to bring AI into your organizations are not related to technical concepts, but are relating to humans. Their skills, their way of approaching things, and the challenges that they need to solve. So this is what matters in AI. Now, AI, therefore, is basically just a tool that you can use to solve problems, to solve challenges. The challenge is that Gen AI, so this current wave of artificial intelligence, I've been working on AI for 10 years, and I feel like this is very new, that we have finally a very general purpose technology, something that can be applied basically to any problem. So this brings a few opportunities, but also challenges. The opportunity is that since it's a general purpose technology, anybody basically has the opportunity to improve their products, their services, their workflows, their productivity. But the challenge is that since it's a general purpose technology, it's really confusing and overwhelming, can be confusing and overwhelming at least, to know what to do and where to start. It's a little bit as saying, hey, we got electricity. Imagine, 150 years or so when electricity got introduced. Who could have thought about the smartphone as a product powered by electricity, right? It's really hard to start imagining all the use cases that we have because the technology is so flexible that it's hard to envision all possible repercussions. And I want to give you a very simple mental framework that I use to get people to really visualize this. So let's take another general purpose technology, which is a database. A database is the equivalent of a large language model. It's a general purpose technology that you can use to do anything. You can use a database to store your contact list on your phone, or to store financial data from your company, or to power an app like Facebook. And the same way, you can use an LLM to write a love letter to your partner, or to help you write a financial report for your company, or to power a new product. It's the same way as a very general technology. Now, with general purpose technologies, usually the first tool that come out is a generic tool, which means that it's a tool that anybody can use to do whatever they want, pretty much. In the case of databases, the generic version of a database that is easy to use is Excel. Excel is a database, very easy to use. You click and you do whatever you want. ChatGPT is the easiest, simplest productivization of that large language model. It's pretty much the simplest form of interaction with that core technology, but it's still very generic. Now, I'm going to ask a question. You guys know, I think, what is a CRM, okay? Customer Relationship Management Tool. You technically could build a CRM with Excel. But are you going to do that? Probably not. You're probably going to buy Salesforce. You're going to buy a productivization of that core technology specific for the use case. And this hasn't happened yet for large language models. We are starting to see this is the new wave of generative AI tools in which companies are starting to basically unbundle functionality from ChatGPT and make that very specific to your use case. So this is I found it a very effective way for people to visualize that AI, as we see it today, has a technology that is general purpose that can be turned into products. Some of these products are very generic and very flexible, like ChatGPT. Some others are going to be, there are not a lot yet, to be honest, but they're going to be application specific. All right. I think a good example is a tool like Jasper. If you don't know it, it's a tool to create social media content. It's very vertical for social media. All right. And if you try out the tool, you're going to see that they added some functionality that is very specific to the job of a social media manager at a large corporation. So they fine-tune it. All right. Now, how can you apply this? Because I basically just told you, hey, you can do whatever you want. Now go and do it. What does it mean? So I want to give you now a very simple mental framework to take this general purpose technology and start thinking about how that could be applied in your life as a professional or in your company if you're a manager or a leader in your organization. And the way that I'm going to do this is the following. I'm first going to give you an example, very practical example. And then I'm going to try to talk about how you can try to bring these same examples within your organization or your work life. All right? So example and then generic tips. First of all, let's envision 3 different areas in which you can use AI. The first one is augmentation. Augmentation is your day-to-day co-pilot. It's when you have a tool that you use to do anything that you want to do. If you have a use case, you can start and using AI for this. The second use case is automation. So try to use AI to automate recurring operations. And the third one is innovation. So entirely new products. This is going to be really useful because you need this categorization, because you need different skills, different approaches for each one of those 3, and different kinds of tools. So let's start with augmentation first. So you remember that I was talking about ChatGPT as a generic AI tool. ChatGPT is great for augmentation. Okay, so the case study we're going to see now is about ChatGPT. Now, the case study is from one of our team members. His name is Andrea. Andrea writes a lot of copy for AI Academy. So our newsletter, if you have subscribed to it, If you're not subscribed, you should be. So if Joella, if you can send a link in the chat so you can subscribe in case you're not. We talk every Thursday. We talk about the news that happen in the AI world, and every Tuesday we teach you something new about AI. And Andrea has to write this, so he's alone and needs to do a bunch of different things and write this newsletter. So another kind of copy that he writes is the copy of our marketing emails. And this is a case study of how he wrote the onboarding email flow of a new course that we were launching last year. So what he did is that he had this challenge. It was the first edition. He had no previous students, no social proof, no data. The other problem, this is written from his point of view. He's not a native English speaker, and copywriting is not his #1 skill. So we're not starting from a good position, right? We're starting from somebody who doesn't have a strong skill set for the specific task and doesn't have a lot of data. So what did he do? He decided to use ChatGPT as a writing copilot. And I want to point out a couple of different things that he did well. First thing, he put the right context, and then he asked for an email outline. Notice he didn't ask for the email. He asked for an outline. Why? Because he wanted to keep control. This is an example of what he got. So AI asked, this is a ChatGPT-like interface. AI suggested an email flow of 7 emails. He spent some time refining this. He said, hey, but 7 emails is a bit too long. We know our customers, want to have a shorter decision-making cycle, etc., etc. So he refined this. He kept control until he was happy, and then he started to develop each email on its own. Then what happened is that we did the course. We had a sold-out course, happy students. We learned a lot about what people loved and what people didn't love. And Andrea used this information to update the email flow, always using ChatGPT, but he fed back that information to update it. What happened is that we got an increase in conversion rate of 14.6%. So let me now step back and try to point out a few things of what Andrea did well. So why Andrea was so good at getting those results? Well, first of all, he had 3 critical skills. The first one is, I call this prompt crafting in this case. So Andrea had the right prompting strategy to keep control over the output so that Andrea is in control, not ChatGPT. A lot of people that don't know how to use AI, they ask ChatGPT to do something, then they're not happy, and then they get stuck. And then they close and give up. But Andrea had the right skills to be constantly in control. So Andrea is using ChatGPT, not ChatGPT is using Andrea, okay? So that's the first one. The second thing is critical thinking. So Andrea was really good at knowing when to use AI, when to trust it, and when to push back, when to challenge AI suggestions. And the last thing is a mindset shift. I've seen this a lot with organizations. Like my job is to talk with companies who want to adopt AI and just hear the challenges and try to have them solve them, right? So I see with a lot of companies, the problem they have is that they give access to those tools to employees and they expect employees to start using them. It doesn't happen naturally. You need to facilitate that process, which brings me to this question. How do you augment yourself and your team? So basically, how do you get everybody in your team or yourself to perform like Andrea, who when he knows that AI can help him, he immediately knows how to do it. He's very productive and he performs like 5 employees. He's really, 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 really productive. Andrea is a key team member. So I want to share a graph with you. This graph shows how many people in different countries have tested ChatGPT at least once and how many use it. Look at the abandonment rate. Red is the people that use it all the time, right? And everything else is the people who have tried it and decide, nah, you know what, not for me. That abandonment rate is, to me, and I've seen this over and over, is not a sign of ChatGPT not being powerful enough. It's a sign of them not knowing how to use it, getting frustrated and giving up. So I've talked to a lot of companies that are spending lots of money buying licenses, but then this money goes right into the trash can because people don't know how to use this technology. They don't know when to use it. They haven't done the mindset shift that is required to start using the technology productively. Okay, this is key, super important. You need to work on this. Okay, so you must invest in upskilling. And I want to give you a very short case study of something we've done with a company. The company is called PeopleCert. If you know the Prince 2 certification for project management, is a fairly well-known certification. They're the ones who own it and give those certifications. There are 1,400 people in Greece, and we train the entire company on the basics of AI prompting. Every single person went through that training. We did it online. It was a 4-hour live workshop. It was fun having 1,400 people in a Teams call. We managed to pull it off. It was really good. We managed to make it interactive, and adoption of AI surged together with productivity gains. We got info that some tasks that they did, they managed to cut the time it took them by 75% after this training. So you can do this, and it could be as short as a 4-hour live workshop in which you get people to try it and get inspired on what kind of use cases you can find. All right. So this is augmentation. Once again, augmentation is about using generic tools like ChatGPT to augment yourself, to be more productive, to do stuff faster, better, smarter. And in order to get that done, you need to foster a mindset shift. All right. And of course, learn a few skills, but nothing too fancy. You don't need to become a prompt engineer, basically. All right. So the next step is automation. And now I want to make this clear. I don't think that augmentation is less important than automation, okay? I put them all of them at the same level. You need to do all three. All augmentation, automation, innovation. There's value in all of them. But let's talk about automation, how this looks like. And I want to do it through another case study of a company that we helped last year. The company is called Streuer. So if you're in Germany, there's somebody from Germany in the chat. If you're in Germany, you see any billboard on the highway or in the street, it's very likely they own that billboard. This is what they do. So Coca-Cola goes to them and says, I want to put 200 advertisements on those billboards. Can you please do it? And that's what they do. All right. So this is the company. What was their challenge? The challenge was the clients very often send bad posturing designs that limit their efficacy. Meaning that if somebody sends some really ugly shit like this, Streuer doesn't have the bandwidth to redesign it for them or to give them feedback. Which is really bad, because then somebody pays Streuer to put this on a billboard, they don't get any result, and then they never buy a service from Streuer again. Right? So what did we do? We identified that they had already written a document called 10 Golden Rules for Posts and Design. It was a guideline on how a poster is supposed to look like. And during a hackathon, it was not even a hackathon, it was a very short workshop, it was a few hours. We knew the ChatGPT, the GPT-4 vision had been released, and so we tried to see whether GPT-4 with vision could automate that process. That was the idea. Can we build an AI that automatically takes this as an input and tells you this is really bad, this is what you should do? This is what we were trying to do. And I want to show you a quick demo of the very simple proof of concept we did in like an hour and a half, basically. Then I'll show you what we did then. It was a simple ChatGPT prompt in the beginning. I blurred the prompt because obviously now it's their intellectual property. But to give you an idea, we said, hey, you are an expert in out-of-home advertising. I want to give you an image of a motif. Motif is the word that advertising people use for this sort of graphic. You will tell me whether it respects the rule, and this was one of the rules. And we saw that actually ChatGPT was capable of understanding this. So again, I blurred part of the thinking that ChatGPT did just to protect their intellectual property. But this is just to give you an idea that we were able in a couple of hours to run a quick experiment and see that this could actually work. What did they do then? They went through a rigorous testing process to make sure the prompts were reliable. This now is starting to think about something that has to work every single time. We're not anymore in ChatGPT space. Hey, let's just play with it. We're getting into CRM stage, okay? We're getting into a tool that has to be reliable. It's a bit different, okay? They built a simple prototype using no-code tools. The workflow was very simple. You just have to send a graphic to an email address, AI will analyze it, and then got a report back in 5 minutes. Tested it with clients, got great feedback. And then IT started scaling the solution. So this is also, I think, a lesson in for a large corporation. They're like 13,000 people. Okay. So what they did is, instead of immediately getting worried about how do we deploy this at scale, how do we make this, they first worried about making sure that it worked and that it brought business results, and then they worried about everything else. I see there's a question from Heiko. Shouldn't be AI easy accessible within the company? For such use cases like Stroyer, I need to fight always the how. I want to go focus on the what and the why. 100%. And that's exactly what they did. So this was, this little prototype was enough to get people interested and excited to spend some more energy on it. The next prototype was much better. It was automated. You didn't have to go through ChatGPT. It was a bit more, industrialized, let's put it this way, but still very hacky. But that allowed them to build more buy-in within the organization. And then as soon as somebody understood the why, understood, hey, there's value in this and it can work, then they started building it. Until now, they actually released the tool. This was their press release from June 2024. So it's fairly recent. So it took us, I think, an hour and a half to verify that, this could potentially work. Then it took them a couple of months to build a more sophisticated, reliable prototype. And then they kept going with thinking about the business strategy, how to launch it, how to use it, etc. So it was pretty fun. Let's talk about skills. If you want to do this sort of stuff, what do we need to do? Well, first of all, prompt engineering. Now we're moving from prompt crafting to prompt engineering. It's nothing you don't need a PhD in math, basically, to be able to do this. It's a bit more than the skills you need to use ChatGPT. You need to be able to, you need to be able to break down a process in steps. What do I mean by this? It was going to be really, 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 really hard to do this in a single prompt. So they were able to break down the process into different steps and just address the ones that were important and then build integration. Okay. So the question that I have left is, how do you automate the right components of your business? How do you pick, basically? So many opportunities, right? How do I start? So key points. The first one that I want to tell you is, I find this super important. Instead of thinking, what can AI do? Find very inefficient processes that ruin your customer experience and find some win-win scenarios. Customer, I mean customer in a very broad sense. Customer can be also an internal customer, okay? It doesn't have to be external innovation. Then think big, but start small. It's very tempting to have an idea and try to build something huge. Don't do it. Because if you do it, you're going to get stuck probably. Start with something small, build momentum within your organization, show people this is possible, we can do it, and there's value, and then bring people on board. And always stay up to date on AI developments. I love this sentence. Today's sci-fi may be tomorrow's commodity. When we tested the automation, literally GPT-4 Vision was released a week before. That thing was impossible if we had that meeting a week earlier. Think about this. Isn't it mind-blowing? So if you're not up to date, you may be missing out on so much value and potential. All right, so last, innovation. How do you innovate? I just want to show you a simple case. In AI Academy, we built a bot where you can ask any sort of question about AI, obviously. This is our own company. This is something that all students have access to. The AI Academy bot thinks, and then it answers not only with, an answer, but also it sends you back to the videos that you have purchased. So this improves the user experience of the learner because basically they have access to me 24/7, right? And think about this. If they ask this question to ChatGPT, they will get a generic answer that maybe is different from what they see in the course. Whereas for us, the way that we implemented it, it's always perfectly tailored to the program that they have purchased. So what I want to say with this innovation aspect, When it comes to innovation, you often have to think about what are the things that would be that today are impossible. For instance, can we keep Gianluca awake 24 hours every day to answer students? No freaking way. There is no way we can do that. And think whether AI can make the impossible possible. That's how you innovate. Find those holes in your product that you cannot ever fill without AI, and then fill them with AI. All right, so this was what I wanted to share with you. Again, I'm going to make a quick summary, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about the academy trainings. I'm just going to stop sharing so we look at each other. When it comes to bringing AI in your organization, you have to think about AI as a general purpose technology. You have to remember that. AI is a general purpose technology, which means that everybody has their own use cases. I have my own, and Alessandro has his own, Kevin has his own, Steve has his own. Some are going to be common. Summarizing meeting notes. I think all of us share that pain, right? But some of them are going to be fairly specific to you and to your company. If you work in an organization, if you're a leader in an organization. That means that you need to do a little bit of work to learn how to use the technology to make sure that your use cases are addressed. And there could be different use cases. Some use cases require you to constantly reinvent the wheel. These are the generic use cases. Think about everything you would do with ChatGPT, and the parallel would be Excel. Want to make a small budget for your holiday? Are you going to buy a travel budget tool? Probably not. You're going to take Excel and modify it, right? But if you need to keep track of thousands of customers, you don't do it on Excel, you do it on a CRM. Same way, you have a narrow use case, you want feedback on an email, use ChatGPT. You have a use case that you have all the time. For instance, students ask me questions every day. Then it makes sense to think about automation or innovation projects, all right? So this is the message that I wanted to give you. Now let me spend, I know we're out of time. I was a bit too ambitious when I said half an hour. I want to spend just 5 minutes telling you a little bit about how we help companies, and we may help you as well, bring AI in your organization and your work. And if you want to stay to hear more about this, I'm very happy. Otherwise, feel free to go and say bye in the chat if you're not interested in learning more. So if you want to empower yourself or your team to lead in the era of AI, how can you do it? So one of the things that you can do is you can join the next edition of the Generative AI Project Bootcamp. It's our best-selling course. It's a 2-month-long training. This is what you're going to learn. You will start by identifying an opportunity to create value with generative AI. So every student that comes in at the beginning picks a project. And the project can be anything you want. Typically, people pick something that solves their real-life problems, all problems of their organization. All right. So, and we help you with that because not every use case is a good use case. So we help you with that process. And then we design a generative AI solution to tackle the opportunity. When I say design, I don't mean decide the color of the buttons. This is not a graphic design course, right? You will design how the AI automation, how the AI product is going to work for it to actually solve your problem. You will learn a process to write reusable, scalable, reliable prompts that work every time. You remember when I said, hey, with Stroer, with that client, it has to be reliable. That's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to write reliable prompts and how to test. This is key, how to test those prompts to make sure they're reliable. So to do that, I'm going to teach advanced prompting techniques. Again, you don't need any mathematical technical skills to do this, but you need to study a little bit, and we're going to help you with that. And then you will build your own integration without writing any code to integrate your tools. And it's a fun journey. So we designed this to be a journey to go from the beginning where you get access to those videos. There's a bunch of on-demand videos that we have so that you can watch them at your own pace. But then there are those 5 live sessions that bring you to get a graduation certificate. The first session is identifying your project. As I said, this is not trivial, and we help you with this. Then we help you break it down into steps, because if you don't do that properly, then it's really hard to design a solution. This is what design means. Design means taking your problem and understanding, what do I need to automate? What do I need to keep control on? It's very important that we help you with that. Then we have our prompting masterclass. Is my favorite lesson. Actually, I'm going to have it tomorrow for the 8th edition of the course. So I'm very excited about teaching that again. I always look forward to it. Then we're going to help you build an automation. We have a partnership with a no-code tool called make.com. So you get also a free 3-month plan and support from them so you can use it. And then we have a pitch and demo day, which is fun. So you get to pitch. Across the entire program, you have one-to-one coaching. So we have 7 AI coaches that you can book anytime that you want to call with. You basically get access to a link that looks like this. You find the coach that you like the most or that is most aligned with what you do. For instance, Christoph is an expert in process management. If you like his experience, book a call with him, and you can book 1 call per AI coach. Or if you want to work with just with one, we can figure it out. And we have trained, I'm so happy about this. We have trained now 200 people. Some of our programs have been sold in less than a week. It's really fun. Examples of projects people have built. Somebody built an auto project manager that you put in what you need to do, and this puts out, AI puts out a project plan. A design workshop facilitator. Somebody built a McKinsey on a budget. People build all sort of things. Again, anything they're interested in, because the program is so flexible. Now we have a waiting list because the course is going to be live in September. And so this is the offer for people that subscribe to the waiting list. I recommend you subscribe to the waiting list, then you can make a decision later if you want to purchase it or not. But if you subscribe to the waiting list, you get a discount so that we can start filling the course earlier on. For us, it's really great to just manage logistics. So if you can subscribe at the waiting list, either with this QR code or Joella just sent a link in the chat. Remember, if you work for a company, your company can pay for this. A lot of people have their company sponsor it. Every company is talking about Gen AI. So chances are that if you tell your boss, hey, I want to invest in my Gen AI education, he or she will be happy about it, right? If instead you're a leader, manager, and executive in a company, you want to train your team, well, we work with quite a lot of organizations. We helped them in the past. You can see some logos. You see companies in a lot of different industries, from engineering to healthcare to non-for-profits. Helen is our partnership lead. And if you want to discuss custom training, you reach out to her email. Then now I'm going to type in the chat as well. And I want to leave you with this little sentence, and then we're going to do a little bit of Q&A. 90% of companies want to do Gen AI, but only 10% of them are successful. And the reason they fail is because they haven't built the mechanism of actually transforming the workforce to adopt new technology, new capabilities. Basically, let me put it another way. Buying a license for ChatGPT is not enough. All right? AI is a tool. If you buy a hammer, are your paintings going to be on the wall? No, you got to take the hammer and nail into the wall. All right? You have to do something. You have to learn how to do it, and you have to convince people of doing it. You have to find the best places to put your paintings and do all of these things. But buying the hammer and that's it is not enough. All right. So this was what I wanted to share with you. I've been just 6 minutes late, which for me is a good record. I like to talk a lot, so usually it takes a bit more time. I'm very happy to take, let's say, 10 minutes of questions if you have any curiosity in general about our programs, about our trainings, but also about AI as a whole. Yeah, just feel free to either write or in the chat, or just unmute yourself and speak. I'm very happy to take any question you may have. Or even just comments. Don't be shy.
Gianluca, I do have a question. First off, I'm really a huge fan. I've followed you on TikTok for a long time. That's really how I discovered you. That's how it brought me to here. So super excited. I have to say I use a lot of your TikTok videos and presentations that I give, because I just embed them straight into my slide, and then I sort of provide commentary after, and then I make sure everybody knows to go and follow you after that. But so thank you for all that you've done already. But I am very curious, just in regards to one of the major pushbacks we get from businesses that we're talking to is they're worried about their data. They're worried about their privacy. And you had a great TikTok video about why OpenAI is not interested in your data for training purposes. I was just wondering if you could maybe revisit that just briefly, because that's one of the things I'm trying to battle every day is business owners so worried about their data.
Same. I'm so frustrated about that problem. I think So let me just share a couple of I wanna tackle this problem from two different angles. The first one is, should they be scared? Actually, right? And the short answer is it really depends on what are the policies. But usually those companies all use cloud-based tools. I was talking to a customer, a potential customer for my other startup, building a product, and I was like, hey, do you want to buy this tool? It's like, yes, but you guys don't have enough certifications for cybersecurity, you know, SOC 2, ISO 27, whatever that is. And I was like, all right, what is the procurement process? Oh, it's super long. I'm like, okay, wait a second. You sent me a Miro link before. What process did you follow to buy Miro? And they were like, oh no, we just bought it on our credit card. And I was like, why can't you buy this tool on our credit card, on your credit card? And they said, well, because you use AI. And I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. Nothing changes. All right. So that's my part of my frustration. There's a cultural element that has to be addressed. AI has bad reputation, stealing data and all that stuff. From a technical perspective, there is absolutely no difference between OpenAI and freaking Dropbox. There is no difference. Actually, I would argue, and this was, bye Linda, thank you for the message, just saw in the chat. I would argue that people on Miro do brainstorming sessions. They put all their freaking company strategy on it. And nobody has ever checked for their cybersecurity certifications. Nobody gives a shit. Because it's seen as, oh, it's just a brainstorming tool. Oh, this is AI, right? So I'm sorry, you know that this is very, I get very emotional about this because I'm so frustrated. But that's one angle, is to just try to explain, hey, the terms and conditions and cybersecurity requirements of OpenAI are actually comparable with the ones that you use for other tools that you may be using right now. There's still, I can guarantee this because I'm going through this and I'm sweating this. I don't know if you can see how I get emotional when I talk about this, because it's not easy. There's still a irrational cultural element to address. So even if you show them terms and conditions, they're still going to be a little bit fearful. So that's why that brings me to the second point, which is why are they not interested in your data? And I want to give you a very easy example. Bye, Jonas. Thank you for joining in. The easy example is what I've seen when people try to use Slack data to train their AI systems. Data from, Slack, the communication software. They train the AI with Slack data, and then they ask the AI, hey, can you write a blog post for me? And AI answer, sure. Yeah, can you actually do it? Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow morning. No, I need now. Hey, now I'm I have a lot on my table. I'll do it later. So the behavior that AI learned from Slack data was actually useless. A lot of people think that their data is worth something. It is not. Like, OpenAI actually does not give a shit about your conversations very often. Okay, I'm being very blunt, just because I know this is just a very sort of like unscripted, candid conversation. So you can bring that example and just to say, look, OpenAI is not interested in ingesting any sort of data. OpenAI has to curate that data quite a lot, and it would be quite insane for them to just take anything that you've shared and put that in. So again, just to summarize, because this is a very hot topic. Number one, tell them to go and read the terms and conditions and tell them that it's not different from Miro. They're still going to feel, oh, but what if they ignore the terms and conditions? First of all, this is not the freaking Far West. Like, you can sue people, it's not OpenAI is above the law. But even if you believe that they are not going to follow those rules, you can convince them by showing them that there's actually no incentive in doing that. It's a bit, if it was that easy, just steal data and put that into your model, I think those companies would have already, Google, think about this. Google has all your freaking email conversations, right? They will have the best AI model. They don't, though, because you don't need a lot of data. You need good data. Good selection is important, right?
That's great. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Sorry, very long answer, but as you see, it's one of these topics that gets me heated up, and I'm like, I just want to I want to vent. All right. Any other questions? Oh, thank you, Alessandro, for the little fun. I'm gonna get closer to the camera. Let me just check in the chat.
I have a question.
Yes.
In the boot camp, are you talking about the RAG?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are talking about RAG. Yeah, that's a really good question. So RAG, for people who don't know what that is called retrieval augmented generation. It's basically when you can add to your model existing data that you have, right? So let's say that you have, I don't know, a manual for how to use a piece of machinery. If you want AI to be able to get that content, you need to use this technique called RAG. It's, to be very honest and fair with you, is the sort of like the most advanced topic in the course. So usually what we're trying to do is we're trying to get staff to work, trying to avoid RAG as much as possible in the beginning, because it adds another layer of complexity that is quite hard. We do talk about it, and now we're about to launch a sort of like an expansion of that course that is just focused on RAG. And it's going to be something shorter, just on RAG for people that have already taken that course. Because if you don't get everything before right, then RAG is not going to help you fix your problems, basically. I think a lot of people have that. Have you ever seen that meme when there's this guy that sticks tape on a water, doesn't matter. But RAG has been sort of like the solution that people bring to every problem. Like, oh, this doesn't work, use RAG. It's not that easy. It's not that easy, so you need to get a few things done first well, and then you can start using RAG. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna head out. This has been nice. I always love sharing those insights with people, especially if they have interesting questions like this. And I'll see you guys in the next webinar. And hopefully you're gonna see you in class. Alessandro, I know I'm gonna see you tomorrow, right? Yeah, Alessandro is one of our students for the Generative AI Project Bootcamp. So if you're liking it so far, feel free to tell people to join because it's fun. Amazing. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, you also registered. Nice. Bye.